Hey guys, this is Cherokee Moore. I'm the Chief Marketing Officer of Parallel Wealth Partners. I'm glad that you're here with me today. I wanted to create a quick 10 to 15-minute presentation on the scope of our company and what we do. Reason being is because we get phone calls, text messages, emails all day long, inquiries as to what our process looks like, what do we do exactly, how's it beneficial to investors or potential clients, etc. And the team and myself, we're always happy to address questions and jump on the phone with people. But my job is to make it as easy as possible to kind of make that connection for people. So I think a video would be more ideal. Now, you can always call us, text us, email us. We're always going to be here to support you. But hey, if I could say, here's a quick video for you, it's 10 to 15 minutes on our process, exactly what we do, down to the nitty gritty. I think that will save you a lot of time, which I think is beneficial for you as a potential investor and client, because we're all busy. Time is money, as we know, and I don't want people to be held up on basic questions about what we do when I could just make a quick 10 to 15-minute video. So I'm happy that you guys are here with me today. We're going to get straight into it. Give me 10 minutes of your time, 10 to 15, and I'm sure I'll address a lot of questions that you may have on our process. So who are we? We are Parallel Wealth Partners. We are the premier and probably the most disruptive real estate investment company in Northern California. We're looking to, in the next 12 to 24 months, take that to a nationwide level and potentially global later down the line. We want to make sure everybody can invest and increase those gains and make sure their portfolio is performing the way that they would like to. So we are a turnkey, hands-off investment platform. The way I like to draw the illustration for people is imagine Robinhood. So if you're not familiar, Robinhood is a stock investing app. It makes it possible for the everyday person to become a stockbroker or to invest and trade in stocks very easily from just your phone. We're kind of the same way, except in real estate. So our goal is to make it as easy as possible for you as an investor, as a person, to invest in investment properties, increase your portfolio to where it's performing where you want it to perform at and reach those goals you want to reach. So let me give you a brief example of that, and then I'll go directly into the slide. So let's say you are a potential investor that has six figures saved up, or you have a retirement account that's not performing, or you have equity in your primary residence you want to pull out. What that would look like is we would take those assets under management. We would go procure a property for you, scope a property for you, rehab a property for you, place a tenant in the property for you, do all those nitty gritty things that you don't want to do or probably not even capable of doing because it's so complex. And we would give that property over to you to place into your portfolio. You own it from day one. We're just leveraging all of our network, all of our connections, all of our hard work, blood, sweat, and tears to get you that property that you're looking for to add to your portfolio. So that's what we do as a company, right? You're an investor and you want to add to your already existing portfolio or want to build upon it. So with that said, let's go straight into it. So we're going to meet the team here, our leadership. So first and foremost, we have Nick Orlando. He's our director of data and analytics. Very important job. So what he's going to do is he's going to scope properties. He's going to get rent rolls. He's going to check the growth of zip codes in areas that we invest in. He's going to have boots on the ground looking for different investment opportunities, different properties that are coming up. And he's going to put all those pieces together in a formal presentation that will give to you as an investor. And I'll go over that with you, or Rob Galikoff or Zane will go over that with you. And we'll talk about the numbers. But his job is to crunch those numbers and put it into a digestible format so that we can all go over it together and put the plan together. Once he does that, you're going to be dealing with Andy Jacobs. He's director of construction management. So this is probably one of the toughest parts of the whole project itself, is just making sure timelines are met, working with the contractors to make sure we're getting the best quality material while keeping it within budget and scope, coordinating things. He's the one that's going to be making sure all the videos and pictures get back to you and things of that nature. So director of construction management, very important job. He also handles a lot of the paperwork side of things, which is very tedious. There's probably over 100 documents that go into this stuff. So he handles all that as well. Very important job. Then we have our founder, our CEO, our hero, Zane Jacobs. So he's the one that's always going to make the final decision. He's involved in every single transaction. What it looks like on his side is, let's say we get an investor or a client that comes to us and like, hey, I have 200 grand to play around with, or I want to get a mortgage, etc. Whatever the situation is, we bring that information back to Zane. He's going to help us draw it all up. Okay, here's the best route that the client should go. Here's where they're going to get the max profitability. Go deploy the plan and make it happen for him. So that's what he does. He'll put that plan together. He has the final say so. He's the big boss, and it's always good to have a CEO that supports you and is ingrained in the day-to-day operations like Zane is. And then you have myself, chief marketing officer. So I deal with the marketing side of things. But in addition to that, I deal with all emergencies that come aboard. I kind of float in between departments and operations, I should say. So if there's an emergency or if these guys have too much on their plate, I'll jump in. I kind of know everything going on in the company. I'll jump in, support them where they need. They're all heavy hitters, though. They don't really need support like that. But if they do, if they're overloaded, as we all do get sometimes, I'll jump in and help them out with it. Then you have Rob Galikoff, Director of Acquisition and Client Relations. He helps Nick procure properties and handles those negotiations. And he's the one that's going to be walking you through step by step. He's going to be giving you updates. Hey, here's the latest video from the contractors. Here's the latest picture. Here's what's going on with your tenant that's going to be placed in there, et cetera, et cetera. He just keeps you happy and informed. That is his job, and he does it very well. So awesome addition to our team, and happy to have Rob on board. So just to wrap up this slide real quick and speak briefly about it, what I've come to find out, and we never want to talk badly about competitors or competition, so I'm not doing that, but just placing it into perspective. We know a lot of people. Our team deals with people with net worths of 500 million. We have a client worth $3 billion in our portfolio. We deal with the everyday Joe. We know just about everybody, mayors, politicians we've worked with, etc. So the reason why I tell you that is because it's important. A lot of times we're not the only ones in this space. We're not the only ones that do this. There's other companies that do it, but it's very important with who you work with. So between all of the people you see on the screen right here, there's hundreds of millions of dollars in real estate transactions that we've all done. There's probably over 200 years of real estate experience between all of us, right? We have master's degrees. We've built up multiple seven-figure companies and sold them off. So I tell you all that to say we have the experience, top 10% loan officer, top 10% real estate agent. We have the experience, we have the acumen, and we have the credentials. Now, on the flip side of that, on the other side, you'll see other companies doing the same thing, but I can guarantee you they do not have the credentials we have. It's very important that you know who you're working with. So a lot of these companies will be ran by people who have been somewhat successful in whatever career field they're in, and they decide to start a real estate company, right? So they're kind of halfway in, halfway out. This is what we do full time, and this is what we've all been involved in real estate, like I said, combined for like 200 years. So we know what we're doing. We're more successful than most people. So yeah, and again, master's degrees, and we've already built seven-figure companies. So it's just important to know who you're working with, right? And know that we have your back there. So just moving on here, next slide. So our mission, kind of what we do, engage, empower, and execute. So I'll keep this one short, but a lot of times I'll begin with engage. So at Parallel Wealth Partners, at PWP, we'll speak a lot of times on the philosophical side of things, kind of the ethical side of things, and kind of how you're helping improve this world. So first off, we're a faith-based company, right? We don't force that upon anybody, but just giving you the background on it. We're all believers, and we want to make sure we're doing the right thing at all times. So when we have these conversations with potential clients and investors, we let them know that, hey, you guys are going to be not only going to get a property that's cash flow and making you money that you're adding to your portfolio, but in addition to that, you're going to be changing some lives in the process, and you should feel good about that. So we invest primarily out of state, right? We say take coastal money, California, New York money, and bring it inward. Bring it to these states and cities that need it. Michigan, Ohio, Tennessee, Atlanta, places like that could really use the cash flow. So we invest primarily in growth areas, places that are on growth tracks. So what does that mean? So sometimes, when we find these properties and we just don't buy any property or take any property on, there's a great length of detail that goes into purchasing a property. But more often than not, they're going to be in growth tracks. So they're not going to be in the best neighborhood. There might be prostitution, drug selling, gangbanging that's going on in these neighborhoods. And we've touched ground in all of these neighborhoods, guys. We've spent time with these people, whether it be gangbangers, whether it be politicians, whether it be the police captains or prostitution. Like, you wouldn't even believe the stuff we've been involved in doing this. But here's the good news about it. All these properties are profitable and all of them rise in equity over time. But even better for you guys, we'll go in there, we'll rehab whole neighborhoods at a time, house by house, and you're going to change the lives of some of these kids that have nowhere else to go. Some of these parents that don't see opportunity, that live in crack houses and things like that. We go in there and clean all that stuff up, and the people are happy. Even some of the people you wouldn't think would be happy, like the gangbangers and stuff, where they're like, hey, you're coming on our block and doing X, Y, Z. They want us to be there and clean that stuff up. So you're really changing lives. You're taking people out of poverty. you're taking people out of crime opportunities, right, where they don't have to turn to that. So it's important that you guys know that, right? So just know when you invest with us, you're not only going to get a property that's cash flowing, but you're going to change some lives in the process, which is pretty darn cool. So empower. So we empower you as an investor with all the knowledge, with all the tools you need to make a good investment decision. So a lot of times when you go to these other companies I was speaking about, they have the veil up. We're not going to tell you our process. We're not going to tell you how we do things. Just give us your money and we'll do it. And maybe we'll get it right. Maybe we won't. That's not how we operate at Parallel Wealth Partners. You know exactly what's going on, the full scope of what we do, how we do it, the contractors we work with. We let you talk to our affiliates, our property managers, etc. We show you everything. You become a part of our family when you engage with us. So we empower you to have those tools to make those decisions that are best for your family. Now, once we have that plan laid out, a mutual plan laid out between us and you, you're going to have your own ideas. We'll counsel you on that and tell you why it's a good idea, bad idea. Here's the route we should go. Here's the route we shouldn't go. We're going to execute upon that once we have our final plan in place, right? So we get all those steps done, we execute upon it, and then you get your property. So hopefully that all makes sense for you and you guys are on board with that. So this is probably what you're paying for here, right? This is what I tell people. Our trusted network, which is placement, construction, title, agents. So I'll just skim over to buy the numbers. If you see that on your screen there, some bullet points. So just to read it off, our affiliates and contractors employ 1,000 plus people across the country. So it's a lot of families we're helping, a lot of families we're feeding, a lot of opportunity for work, et cetera. That's important there. And there's a reason for that. I'll get to that. It's a circular point there. We have centralized networks in 3 different states with more being established every month. So we're working in 3 primary states and we're building out in other states as we speak. And when we say that, that means that we're building out networks and affiliates of people we can trust to get more projects done, to open up the horizon, have more projects available to us and more homes available to us. And here's the most important part, and this circles back up to the first point. Through our strategic relationships, our contractors and affiliates reduce costs anywhere between 20 to 50% to ensure profitability for the investor. So, guys, this has taken hundreds of thousands of dollars, maybe even millions of dollars, countless plane flights, countless meetings to make this happen, right? So what is the biggest issue with investing out of state? You have very little control in the situation. You have to trust these people that they're going to do what they say. And there's been horror stories, believe me, not with us, but people who don't decide to use us, then they'll come back to us like, yeah, I found a house, I paid a contractor $6,000 to do XYZ job. They shut their phone off. I never heard from them again. Like, there's a lot that goes into this, guys. Like, you got to trust people that are 3,000 miles away from you to do exactly what you're paying them to do. And oftentimes not, that's not going to be the case, unfortunately, right? There are good people in this world. There are bad people, right? We choose to work with all the good people. So we have all this stuff covered and we built great relationships with within our network. So that's our property management, right? That's our construction teams. That's our title reps. That's the real estate agents who are helping us scope these properties. We have a great deal of trust in everybody. If they don't make the cut or if they start to slack, we get them out the picture. We bring someone new in, we vet them, we interview them, we talk to past clients, etc. So this is the most important part, right? We have local politicians on our side too, and I'll tell you a story about how I got a mayor involved to make a deal happen once, but I'll go into that a little bit later. So yeah, this is what you guys are paying for. This is a network that we spent, potentially millions of dollars building up. In addition to that, hundreds of hours trying to cultivate and plant the seed with these people. So it's important to know who you're working with, and you'll talk to all of our people depending on which state that you're investing in. You'll be in contact with everybody. So on to the next here. So what the stats say. So Zane told me something a couple years ago when we first met. Me and Zane go back about 10 years now. When we first met, he told me something that stuck with me. He said, Cherokee, whenever someone's trying to sell you something or give you something, etc., make sure they walk the walk and talk the talk, right? So it's important to know who you're working with. Again, I touched on that previously, but just again, this is our numbers, guys. We're transparent. We let you know what's going on. We even have potential investors come to our house. You'll see that we live in beautiful, nice houses, nice cars, etc. The whole thing's going on. So you guys really get to know us. But this is us as a company, right? So our average investment size is $145,000. So what does that mean? So the average investor that comes on board, they're usually going to purchase a property for about $145,000. Our bare minimum is $125,000. Why is that? It's because it's the only way at that number and above, you ensure profitability for the investor. When you get below that, it gets a little tricky trying to find profitability for the investor, and that's our number one goal. So we usually try to stay at that $125,000. Sometimes on rare occasions we can get below that. We can get below that depending on the circumstances to reach that profitability margin for you. But usually it's about 125 and the average investment is 145,000. Our investment number to date since 2018 is 14.5 million. By the time you guys see this video, or by the time you've seen this video, we're going to be close to 20 million. We're having some pretty big months right now as we grow and the name starts to get out there a little bit more. So close to $20 million in investments. That's money people have given us with their trust to go invest for them. So we're doing some pretty good things, right? Average rental cash flow per month is about 1,400. So these two things correlate, this average investment size and this average rental cash flow. So with us, it's always a 1% rule. So let's say you buy a property, a duplex from us for 200 grand, you're going to cash flow $2,000 plus per month on that, right? So it's 1% of that purchase price. So on average, I know my face is probably blocking this out here, but on average, we take on about $2 million per month in investors' money. We've rehabbed, constructed, purchased over 100 plus properties since our conception in 2018 and given them back to investors and repeat customers. We don't have a person mad at us. There's not going to be anyone screaming on the mountaintops about how we did a bad job. It's just not out there. So I say that to say, we have repeat customers who on average will purchase 3+ properties within a 12-month span from us because it actually works, right? People are a little skeptical at first, like, okay, let me just give these guys a try. We'll do one property. Then it actually works how we say it's going to work, and they always come back to buy more from us. And there's a reason for that, which I'll touch on in just a little bit here. But that's a little bit about us. And again, always happy to meet people in person, bring them to the houses, have dinner with our families, etc. Right? You're going to really get to know us. And we'll move on to the next slide with that. So why real estate? How do we stack up against other investing channels, right? That's another question that we get. So just a little fun fact for that first one. Percentage of millionaires made from real estate is 90%. The average equity gain from 2018 to 2023. So if you bought a property with us from 2018 to 2023 and beyond, man, did you hit the jackpot, right? That's a 33% equity gain between that time. Depending on the scope of your project, that's hundreds of thousands of dollars in free money in profit that you have gained just by dealing with us and buying a house from us, right? It's pretty good. Retail rental rates projected yearly growth. So that means that the amount of rental properties that will be coming on the market year by year and rental market yearly growth, 8.4%. That's the amount of renters that will be coming on the market on a year-by-year basis. So it's strong, firm, and it's going to keep rising as time goes on. And how do we stack up to some of the other investing channels? IRA, 7% on average yearly return. Your 401k, 5% return on average. Man, that's not that great. Stock market, 10%. Traditional real estate, 10.6. So this would be the person who did this and figured it out, right? And then parallel wealth partners, 12 to 20%. And really that's shortchanging it. Sometimes we get up to 25 to 30% in return for our investors, but 12 to 20, pretty conservatively speaking, that's really where you're going to be at. And guys, the good news is this isn't something that's just made up. I pulled all this information from reputable, credible websites. So smartasset.com, LinkedIn, Forbes.com, NerdWallet, and Bankrate.com, all respected companies, entities. You can Google any of this information that is on the screen, and I promise you it'll come back with exactly this. So we know what we're doing. We know what we're stacked up against, and we know that we are, again, the premier real estate investing company that's giving far better returns than your traditional investing channel. So move on to the next one here. So who can invest with us? Good question. Good question. So here we go. Liquid assets. Anybody who has an access to at least 125,000 or more in liquid assets, right? So you have it just sitting in your golden one savings account, high yield savings account, quote unquote, that's getting you 0.25 return per year. $200 you'll get at the end of the year from G1. You can definitely invest with this. We'll double that money for you pretty quickly. Retirement accounts, that's one of our most popular options. So let's say that you have a 401k and it has 300 grand in there, right? Let's say you're a nurse, doctor, etc. Whatever the case is, firefighter, police. If you have a 401k account or 403b, let's say that it has 300 grand in there, you can roll that into a self-directed IRA with one of our preferred partners like Mountain West Retirements. You can do that, and we will be able to leverage the money in those accounts to invest into real estate and place it back into the self-directed IRA. So your IRA can have multiple homes within it, all placing money back into that IRA for you. It is far more profitable than a 401k, 403b. I promise you, we are destroying any retirement account that comes across our path right now. And you will probably see that retirement accounts were down 30+% in the past couple of years. So, yeah, you might definitely want to take a look at that and moving those funds around. Home equity. So let's say you own a primary residence, and let's say the home is worth, or let's say you have a mortgage for 300 grand and the home's worth 600-700 grand. You have a couple hundred grand in equity. One of our affiliates and preferred partners can help you get a cash out refi. We'll take those assets under management once you have it, and we could go leverage those monies to get you more properties, right? So, and you can get a traditional mortgage. So let's say you're like, Cherokee, I don't have any of these things. I don't have liquid assets. I don't have a retirement account. I don't have home equity. I don't even own a home. Okay, cool. Well, get a traditional mortgage. You can, again, apply with one of our affiliates and try to apply for an investment loan, right? Where they're gonna leverage. The bank will pay for 80% of the home for you. You just have to put up 20%, right? So that's another way to do it. Should you be able to get qualified for that? We knock those out the park all day long. And then crowdfunding. This is something that's not readily available yet. We are working on it. Is we're going to create a REIT. This is going to be for our smaller investors, people who have 5 grand, 10 grand, 15 grand, and they want to double it, triple it, or they want to invest into real estate. We will have those projects available. Right now, we currently have an apartment complex, so we're already dealing in bigger projects right now. And it's only a matter of time before we start getting those 20, 30, 40 units. And we want people to be able to take advantage of those situations there. So crowdfunding will be happening. REITs will be happening within the next 12 months or so. So with that said, what's your goal? Just some things to think about, right? It's pretty important. Your why. So here's some of the common reasons why people invest with us. Early retirement, right? So I'll give you guys an example of a client who's buying, he's bought 5 properties from us. He's buying 3 more right now, all out of his retirement account, by the way. He wants to retire early. He's an IT guy. He makes 300 grand a year. He's like the head IT guy at this company, makes 300 grand a year. And he's like, Cherokee, I just don't want to do this for another 30, 40 years. Who wants to work till they're 70? I get it. Like, I understand that's kind of the mold and model that we've grown accustomed to in society. But he's like, man, if I could just leverage my retirement account and you guys find me enough properties that are making 20, 30 grand a month in passive income, then I'm done working. And we're doing that for him. And he's excited and it's actually going to happen. So early retirement is probably one of our biggest factors why people would want to invest. Then you have business depreciation. So this is going to be people who own businesses, who have S Corps, C Corps, LLCs, etc., and they're looking to avoid capital gains and taxes and things of that nature. We help with that. That's one of our top 3 biggest factors as to why someone would want to invest with us. You're trying to beat Uncle Sam at his own game. So we help with that. Business depreciation, super important. And again, passive income, right, kind of goes back to reason number 1. You just want to have that monthly cash flow coming in, whether it's to pay for your regular maintenance bills, right? So your primary residence mortgage, your car note, whatever the case is, your kids are in college and you're paying for it. You want to invest in properties to have that stuff all paid for on autopilot by those properties. And then reason number 4, generational wealth. Like I said, we're a real philosophical company. We got some deep guys that are involved here who are avid readers and believers. So we're all about passing down these projects and these homes to the next generation and the next generation and the next generation. It's a big motivating factor for a lot of people. They want to make sure their kids are taken care of so that their kids don't have to go what we went through, right? So very important there. That's just some of the reasons people would invest with us. So the process, pretty important, right? And I'll go through it quickly. It's pretty much lined up there. And feel free to pause this video at any time so you can read this stuff in full. So what's the first step? We meet with the investor and identify the funding sources for them. So the first step is funding. Where are we getting the money from? Are you going to pull cash out of your home? Do you have liquid? Are we going to leverage your retirement account, et cetera? Let's identify where the money is going to come from. Procurement. That's when Nick's going to get involved. He's going to get boots on the ground, scope properties and projects, and we have him coming in all day, every day. We might already have one ready and suitable for your particular objectives and plans. We might have to go find one for you that fits the mold for you. But we're going to go find a property in a high yielding area and make sure that it fits exactly what you're looking to do. Once we have that, we'll get our inspections done. So we'll send out one of our contractors. We'll send out our third-party vendors there to go look at the property, see what's needed, see what needs to be done. A lot of times, guys, these properties need a lot of work done. Not all the time, but a lot of times we want to make sure that we don't get our head in, make sure we're staying afloat here and not getting into something that we shouldn't be, right? So we look at the inspections, make sure that the property is in good standing and nothing too outrageous. We'll do a lot of outrageous stuff, but let's not make sure it's too outrageous where we can't handle it or it's just going to get out of control. Once we identify that, then we'll begin our rehab. Andy's going to get involved there, right? He's going to coordinate the construction team, work with the construction team to get the bids, get everything going. And he's also going to be doing the paperwork. So he's going to make sure all title is clear. He's going to work with the county and city to make sure all the inspections are done, yada, 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 which is especially important because some of our properties, a lot of our properties, in fact, deal with Section 8. Once all that's done, once rehab's done, paperwork's done, procurement's done, all that stuff is done, we work with our local property managers to place a tenant in there for you. So all tenants are vetted. We look at their credit reports. You can look at their credit reports. We look at their credit history, their income. Is it stable? Is it not stable, etc. So we make sure we get a high quality tenant in there. Once that's done, the investor handoff. So you will always, in most cases, it depends how you fund the project, but in most cases, you as the investor will own this project from start to finish. So it's always going to be yours. But we officially say we're done. All boxes are checked. All documents are returned to the city as far as ownership and title and whatnot. And this is your property. You are good to go. Congratulations. You have a cash flowing property added to your portfolio. So that is the process. That's a roadmap of our method. And again, I recommend pausing on this section of the video so you can look at that in its totality. So next, and we're almost done, guys. I know I'm running a little bit over. We're almost done. I like to talk. I apologize. Property standards. I'll keep this one short and simple. So I have to tell you a little bit more about ourselves so you understand this. So everybody in our company, all of the owners, they come from a military background. Myself, I come from a military household. Nick and Zane were actually in the military, Marine veterans. Pops went to a military school. So Andy went to a military school, I should say. I call him Pops because he's like a second dad to me. But Andy went to a military school. So the reason why I tell you that is, if you know anything about the military, everything has to be clean and pristine and the nicest quality at all times. So that's why if you ever come to one of our houses, you'll see everything is nice, structured, clean, not a speck of dust anywhere. It's the highest quality materials, etc. I tell you that not to brag, but only to say that transfers over to our business. So guys, we don't tell our contractors to go to Home Depot and find the cheapest material. We don't cut corners. We don't do any of that. We make sure we get the best material in for that jurisdiction, right? We're not going to put marble countertops in these houses in Dayton, Ohio, right? Because it's not California. That's a California thing, right? That's a Florida thing. That's a Miami thing, a New York thing, right? We are putting the highest quality materials that are fitting for the property in that jurisdiction. So contractors do not cut corners. Everything will be the highest grade, highest material. Everything is looked at, triple check, double check, quadruple check to make sure everything is above board and to our standards. It's very important, okay? So just put that there. And paths of progression, right? So we want to make sure, again, I made a comment earlier, we just don't buy properties in any given area. Like, we could find a lot of properties and they could be beat down and we can rehab them and they might meet our criteria, but that's not how we operate. We only buy properties in path of progressions areas. So what does that mean? For example, Intel is building a $22 billion factory in Ohio. So we're going to buy houses out there. Why? Because the equity is going to go up for our investors. They're going to make a boatload of money as Intel brings in 20,000 plus jobs and people need a place to live. People are going to be renting out those houses locally. So we only do things like that. We will not just buy a random house that's a good deal. We only buy them where our investors are going to raise their equity in path of progression tracks and areas. And if it doesn't meet that standard, we just don't buy the property, right? So it has to be in an area that is growing and developing. So I'll skip through this because, actually, I won't skip through this. Let me talk about this just real quick. I've spoken greatly about this, but let me just put a couple more sentences on this. So everybody we work with is interviewed, interrogated, questioned. We talk to their previous clients. We speak to people who they work with regularly. So we've gotten to a point where we've gotten so big where contractors and affiliates, property managers, they want to work with us. We don't go find people. They come to us. So it's a selection process, right? We make sure we're working with trusted people who have high, good reputations and high values. Okay. So just know if someone is working with us, it's because we hand selected them to work with us. We get 100 emails a day from other people who want to work with us. That's because we keep consistent streams of incomes going for our affiliates, which is good. That's nothing to brag about. I'm happy that we're able to do that for people, right? They provide and keep food on the table for their families, but it's important to know who you work with, right? So tenant placement, again, I'll keep this one short because I already spoke about this. We go through their income, credit, and history. We make sure that everything's on point, right? We don't really have to deal with evictions. If we do 100 houses, let's say, we might have to deal with it once, and we'll handle that on the back end for you and make sure that you're set straight and support you where we can and get another tenant in there. But that's primarily going to be up to our property management company to help you out there. But a lot of times we avoid that situation in its totality because we're doing all the upfront work, right? We're making sure we get the highest quality tenant in there the first time. That way you get stable income for many years to come. Because guys, the reality of the situation is most people who move into these houses, they're not leaving them. They're not leaving them. They'll stay in there for like 10 years before they finally leave, right? So, yeah, it's nothing really to worry about. So on to the next time frames. What's important, and we're coming to the last 3 or 4 slides here, guys. So we're just going to be wrapped up. So time frames. When do you start making money? So again, kind of go over the process here. Month 1, final source of funds are identified. We look for profitable property. Month 2, once the property is scoped and rent rolls are confirmed, our contractors inspect the property and begin renovations. Month 3, construction is completed and the tenant is placed. PWP hands the property back to the investor as a cash flowing asset. And then you see the asterisk down below. So this is the longest part. The easiest parts, not the easiest, they're only easy because we figured it out, but the shortest part of the process is finding the property, getting all the data and information on it. Getting the construction done is also short because we work with some rock star contractors. The third part that takes usually the longest time is getting a tenant in there because, again, we screen greatly. We just don't put anyone in these properties, right? So that could take anywhere from 30 to 60 days. Some of them would get done within a week. Some of them will get done, on the 60th day, on the 59th day, right? But most of the time, it's going to take 30 days to get a tenant placed in there. So you're looking anywhere from once you place your assets with us or once we identify the funding source, you're looking at 3 to 4 months of us working on that property before it's finally turned over to you, right? So that's why you want to have these constantly rolling and constantly going into your portfolio. All right, so this I'll keep short again because I've touched on this a bunch of times. Why is investing easier with parallel wealth partners? The paperwork, first and foremost. These are kind of the problems we take on for you guys. The paperwork. Again, there's over 100 plus documents that are needed whenever you're dealing with stuff like this. You have to work with local legislators, local jurisdictions, the county, city, especially if you're doing Section 8, you got to work with the federal government. You got to work with your contractors, right? You got to make sure they're meeting their time frames. You got to make sure that everybody's kept above board and they're doing the right thing, and make sure that the leash is on those guys and they're doing what they're supposed to do. Unforeseen problems, right? So you guys, I will tell you the story now, and I'm going to wrap this up pretty quickly after. I'll tell you the story. So we had a guy, I'm going to give you just the surface level details of it. We had a guy who owned an IT company. He sold it for over $30 million, made a quick come up on it. So we're happy for him. He needed to place some money with us for depreciation now and to avoid those capital gains. So he placed a couple $1,000,000 with us. So we helped this guy buy 15 properties. So we're down to the very last property. It's a Section 8 property. It's a city in Illinois. So we did everything right. Of course, we double check and triple check all this stuff. That's why we're so effective and efficient. So we have to have this inspection done. We give the inspection to the front desk lady at the county office. She's like, yep, you're good. No worries. Inspection signed off. Of course, being the professionals that we are, we called back like, hey, we're headed towards closing now. Everything good? We speak to a different person this time. Like, well, your inspection's not good. It expired. You need another one. So here's where the problem is now. Like, okay, no problem. We'll get another one. But here's where the issue lies. To get an inspection done was going to take almost a month for them to schedule another inspection and get it done because the county has to submit for the inspection. The issue is we only had about 14 days to get the inspection done, or else the IRS was going to retroactively hit the client on those taxes. He would have owed $400,000 in taxes. We can't do that to our client, obviously. We can't go back to him and say, hey, we didn't mess up. The county messed up. Yo, 400 grand now. That's just unsatisfactory. That's not how we operate. Now, let me tell you guys, worst case scenario, we would have paid that out of our own pocket, right? The 400 grand. We would not have left our client hanging like that. We never do. That's why we have all these repeat customers and we do a good job. But we were freaking out for a moment, right? That's $500,000. That's a lot of money. So anyways, long story short, I send a Hail Mary email to the mayor at the last second, like 11 o'clock at night. I just was brainstorming. I'm like, you know what? Let me just send a mayor on an email to the mayor on what's going on. I get a call. We're doing a presentation for some investors the next day. They call me. My phone's on do not disturb, so it goes to voicemail, unfortunately. They call Zane. Zane answers. He says, Cherokee, take this call real quick. I'll finish the presentation. I'm like, okay. I get on the line. It's the mayor. And he's like, hey, I'm very concerned. I saw your email. I'm very concerned with what's going on. We know that you guys have moved millions of dollars worth of properties and monies through my city. You're helping the communities out. We're going to get this inspection moved up. We'll get it done this week for you. So with stuff like that pops up, guys, where you're going to need a team of professionals who've already been through this, who've already been through the war in the trenches and make stuff like this happen. Because I'll tell you right now, the average Joe's not getting that done. The average Joe's not jumping on the phone with the mayor of the city and saying, hey, we have an emergency. Can you help me out? Right? So it's important, again, to work with the best, to know who you're working with and know that they are looking at every option if there's a problem to getting that problem solved for you guys. So, yeah, very, very out of the ordinary what we're doing here, and good stuff. I'm happy to be a part of it. So, what our clients are saying, what our customers are saying. So, I'll skip through this. Again, people always say this is too good to be true. You're giving me all the good stuff. What's the bad stuff? Cherokee, give me something bad about the company. It's kind of like your first job interview. What are you bad at? Like, how do you answer that question, right? Well, I guess I talk too much, perhaps, maybe. So guys, the honest truth is there's no negatives. There's no bad things. You will not find a client anywhere on this planet who has anything bad to say about us. I 100% guaranteed I would bet my life on it. Why is it? It's because of the story I just told you. We go above and beyond. Even worst case scenario, if that mayor was like, screw you guys, I don't care about your problem, we would have paid that 400 grand. That's what we do. We make sure our clients are taken care of. We make sure that we take good fiduciary responsibility for their investments and their monies. That's what we do. And we do exactly what we say we're going to do. So if you speak to any one of our clients, they will tell you they did exactly what they said they were going to do. They will all say that, I promise you. So, and we're always happy. Any of these people will vouch for us. We get previous clients on the phone if people want to talk to them. So let me see where I'm at here. Battery, I'm going for a long time. My battery's dying. Okay, here we go, guys. So the next steps. Okay, I'm gonna wrap this up. This is the final slide. So if you want to apply, you can scan the barcode there. It'll take you directly to our website where you can see properties and you can apply, and we'll reach out to you and go over your situation, etc. Now, if you're seeing this today, which is the 1st of February, 2024, chances are our website is not, we have a website, but we're creating a whole new one. It's in its final stages. It'll be done in about 2 weeks. It's a very fancy, nice website, but it might not be up. But you can still go on there and apply. It is up in that capacity. It's beautiful. It just doesn't have all the functionality there yet. Or you can contact us directly via email at info@parallelwealthpartners.com, and we'll be happy to take care of you guys. So again, I've spoken a lot. I'm going to wrap it up. My name is Cherokee Moore. I'm with Parallel Wealth Partners. I am the CMO, and I'm happy that you guys are coming on board. If you have any questions, investor questions, anything at all, please reach out to us. We're here to support you guys, and I wish you a blessed and happy day.